Okay, I think we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to NonSequitur. I'm Kyle Curtis, joined, as always, by Steve McRae. We've got Frankie with us, and David is here. Hello, David. Thank you for producing for us tonight, as always. And we have Bunty King joining us for a conversation on censorship. And do you have the right to offend? Before we jump into the conversation, I'm going to go through, as always, just a couple of quick things that we've got coming up. Tomorrow we have the talk about the covenant with Bernard Labarelle. That's going to be about the possibility that centuries back, maybe the Abrahamic faith was started by deifying a king instead of an actual God. He has wrote a new book about that. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. Then the next day, Godless Engineer will be joining us for a conversation with Allegedly Dave. Now, Allegedly Dave is a flat earther, a sovereign citizen, meaning he thinks he's his own country, and a proponent of urine therapy. So we're going to try to get to the bottom of all three of those things on Thursday. And then on Friday, we've got Dr. Cy Gart and Dr. R.M. Huffman, who will be doing a debate on evolution. Now, both of them are Christians. Both of them are doctors. One happens to believe in evolution. The other happens to believe in creation. So they're going to be having a conversation about that on Friday, and that's at 7 o'clock Eastern on Friday. And I'm going to stop there for right now. Don't forget, the first week in June, we're going to be starting the debate roulette. And the way that works is you come to the stream on Friday at 8 o'clock. And while me and Steve are going over some of the upcoming shows, the chat bot will spit out a random topic. If you vote either for that topic or against that topic, the chat box will select a winner out of each group, and then we will bring you onto the show to debate that particular topic. We'll have 3 rounds each Friday, and we're going to do something with the winners. I'll explain more about that later, but just so you kind of have a heads up, that'll be the first Friday in June at 8 o'clock. Okay, Steve.
Oh, you're going to turn it right over to me? You don't want to talk about the stuff that we were talking about earlier? No.
We should.
No. I know, but exactly, right? I mean, do we want to offend people, or we don't want to offend people? See, I think that everybody has a right to offend somebody, so we should have talked about it. But you know what? We're going to talk to you instead.
What he's talking about is there's a group of people who claim that he does not exist in some weird,
that's not what I've said.
It's stupid, and
they've never claimed I do not exist, Kyle. I said there's a group of people that do not believe that I exist. There's a distinct difference there.
Okay, well, you guys have fun with that. You guys have fun with that.
But anyways, we're not going to waste
Bunty King's time with that.
He has all the time to waste in the world, he said, before so he's here all day. So anyways, Bunty, welcome to our Non-Sequitur Show.
Thank you, man. And listen, that was really you were telling me earlier before we started that wasn't you guys really weren't professionals, but
we weren't kidding.
I just saw you list like dates, times for interviews, who's like introductions for those interviewers or the debates and all that, and like that was really good. That was really good. So that was really professional.
It takes me all week in front of the mirror, man. It takes me all week in front of the mirror. It's all a show. I have somebody feeding me.
That came out very well, man. You informed your audience exactly what's happening, and you know exactly what to expect from you, which is very cool. And that's something that I don't do. I actually kind of I fire from the hip. I'm like, yeah. So this is what's gonna happen, you know. Like it's like I'm too chill. You guys are.
I like you already.
I know. You already. This guy, he's nice. He's like really nice. And we're gonna be talking about we have a right to offend people?
You know what it is?
So nice.
Yeah.
I go through life finding things, and with everyone I engage, anyone that I'm going to engage for a meaningful amount of time, I'll go and I'll find a way to provide them a genuine compliment, something that like I know is for sure true because I actually believe it. There's people who do like end up trying to like just, they just throw them out like they mean nothing. But like I try to find ones where they, because you should be able to find something positive in absolutely anyone. And even like the most like garbage person, you can find something, positive about them. There's literally nobody on this planet that I have met where I can't say something positive about them. At least one thing.
That is a good way to go through life. A hard way to go through life, but that is a good way to go through life. Sometimes it's difficult to have that ability to give somebody that doesn't deserve one a compliment, I think. I mean, that just speaks volumes.
I mean, you don't need to. Like, I don't need to go around. Like, there's some people that I absolutely choose not to. There's some creators who I've encountered on YouTube who I would never ever fucking compliment because I don't want to engage them because I just don't like them as people. But if you like someone as a person, I think I don't think it's like maybe saying it's your duty is a little bit too hardcore, but I think it's really important for you to at least express the level of importance that person has to you. That's why for all the people that I engage regularly on when I was really active on Twitter, it was really because I valued them as people, right? So that was why that was happening, And generally,
I've got to say that even in our conversations setting up this stream, I mean, he was you when you deal with people kind of booking shows all the time and the back and forth, some people are like really curt and very straight, sharp to the point, and you can tell when somebody is going to be like just extra nice and they have that kind of way about them, and you could definitely tell even through the emails back and forth that you were going to be that type. So that's cool. It's going to be a good.
Certain people are very hard to find fault with.
Yeah.
They're so nice that you really have to go out of the way to find any kind of criticism, and then why bother? Because it's just probably either not constructive or just nothing of value to criticize somebody that nice.
Well, it's funny. I think that's a pitfall I have because I feel like in being like this, it has put people in a position to really try to find the part that would make me not nice at all to absolutely anyone.
They want to push your buttons.
Well, they push my button to the point where it's like, oh, look, see, the mask is slipped. Look, he's not a nice guy. He is a terrible human. Look at what he's done. Look at this moral failing that he has. How can you possibly think that he's nice? And I feel like there's definitely been people. Yeah, they're definitely shitty, but like there's definitely been a few people that have tried to do that and tried to go out of their way to really do that. And I'm not going to name their names, but they're people that are still active online, I pretty much stopped talking to the fringes because of it, because there were people like that on both sides of the political spectrum, these extreme political spectrums. If you're thinking about like the eat the rich commies or this fucking like crazy like white is the only thing that is right alt-righters, And I was willing to kind of have a conversation with like the alt-right figureheads. Like I wanted to talk to them, but after seeing these people try to take me down in such a fucked up way, a way that I wouldn't even try to take them down. It makes no sense for me to do it because it's like I don't know them. It's impossible for me to like actually cast a full judgment on someone unless I've actually met them in person and I know them or have had an extended engagement with them.
It's vicious.
Well, on the online, all we have is just all the information that people have gathered about these people. But there's so much of it that I don't have any time in my day to actually just sit through all of it and like run a full analysis on some human being, as opposed to just being able to have a conversation. Like I'm open to have a conversation with absolutely anyone. I don't really give a shit what anybody has said about them in the past because I care about what my reaction to them is in that very moment when I'm having a conversation with them. So you could be described as the craziest alt-righter of all time, and because it's just internet noise, unless I can actually see something that's really, really crazy, like it's really huge. But if I'm on the fence about it, I'm going to talk to someone. I'll talk to them. So that's the thing. I brought that attitude to politics and just trying to talk to people. And it's like, dude, it's the dirtiest people show up, the dirtiest fucking people.
Do you think it's just a byproduct of the fact that the internet's a big place and you have a decent sized channel, and we all know a lot of people from one side of the spectrum to the other, and you're not going to find this commonality with all people, and you are going to have some people out there that rather be negative than positive. That's fine. That's
and I think there's a market.
Do what you want. But
there's people who, like, if you want, you can go and see the content. Like, the thing is that everybody has a choice to watch me. All right. And right now, people who are watching this, your podcast, are probably going to be like, I'm sure there's one person there that's like, I don't like this fucking guy. And well,
there's more than one.
Yeah, like half the audience right now. No, I'm kidding. They're
yeah. Well,
why is Bunty so nice? That's like.
It doesn't matter. It's just like they could leave. It's like they can leave. I don't have to appear to them anymore. They can block me on social media. They can do all these things. So I never understood people who tried to take someone down and well, actually I do understand, because I understand how it can be rewarding in social media settings. Because I tried to do that. I mean, I tried doing that with Tariq Nasheed. I tried doing it with other people in the past where I tried to take them down a notch, and it ends up growing your numbers and you end up getting a larger platform, but it's not really a sustainable model for the long run, because when you're gunning for people are going to start gunning for you. And like, it is. And I don't need to be on a defensive at all times ever, because I don't think there's really much that I like. Even the people I criticize in a pretty chill manner. Because if I'm willing to offer some form of criticism nowadays, is because I think that, there is a possibility that they can be a better person, but like, I'm just offering that criticism, and it can be it's like, because I think that they're valuable enough to offer criticism to. There's some people that I just don't offer criticism to, because it's like, whatever, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I probably sound like a douchebag.
No, but the thing with where you're at in your category too, that's a tough, like a tough field, because with like I said, I remember watching you right after the Sargon incident at VidCon, where she called Sargon a garbage human.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just comes with its own kind of war. And that's a brutal field.
She blocked me, by the way. That she hadn't had me blocked for a while. And then when I posted a picture of her, because in my Discord server, we have this bot called NotSoBot. And this, and so what you can do with this bot is you can upload photos, and you can either turn someone into a woman or put a beard on them or something like that. So I put a photo of Anita Sarkeesian up, and I put a beard on her, and then I posted it to Twitter, and I was like, hard eyes. And right after that, I got, and I was like, oh, I feel kind of bad. I wasn't like insulting her. I was like, hey, she makes a handsome Armenian dude. Like,
it was a joke.
Yeah,
it was a joke.
It wasn't hardcore. I've never been hardcore with Anita. In fact, I've tried to reach out to her to ask her to be interviewed, but I don't think that she's a very honest person. So I don't think that she wants to be interviewed by someone who's like going to ask just questions about their past in a way that they expect some level of honesty. It's just that simple.
That's a perfect segue into what we're talking about tonight. Do you have the right to offend?
Yes.
And I think we all agree here, and we were having kind of a little bit of a conversation before we came on air about certain aspects of that. So let's go back to that conversation, because I think that was interesting, and kind of start that over again about the I believe how did you word it, Bunty? It was the feelings versus
facts versus
facts versus feelings. What can I say and not say on your show? Do you have limitations on what kind of like things I can say in terms of like?
Dude, we're already demonetized for everything. It doesn't matter. Knock yourself out.
Okay, I said that people that go around touting the whole facts are over feelings, argument, are actually retarded. I think that they're retarded, because like what I tried to say was that people who straight up say that are people who are trying to reinforce their own feelings about whatever topic they're discussing by dropping facts on people and like hurting their feelings and whatever, so that they can feel better about themselves and they can feel smarter. It's such a shitty thing. It's like, really, the facts are just there for the feelings.
So, Steve, we were kind of having a conversation the night before last about where do you draw the line? Bunty, do you think that there's a line that can be drawn where it goes from, just an opinion and crosses over into, like, say, for example, hate speech or abuse?
Especially should hate speech be, hate speech is a broad term, and there's a lot of ramifications with hate speech, where in some countries it's legal, some places it's in the workplace you can't have hate speech, but online it's very it's not well defined what they mean by hate speech.
Yeah, well, it isn't, and it's so stupid, and I think it's almost like intentionally done so. But the way I've always viewed hate speech is if it's speech that is pretty much inciting an actionable call to violence or targeted like levels of abuse, where it's like, if you have reach over something and if you can actually influence people to do bad things for you, and if you're making it so that's what you want to have done, that's hate speech.
But in the broad picture, hate speech could be any kind of pejorative that's tailored to a specific race or group or individual or culture. That's still in the widest sense of the term hate speech.
I don't think. See, here's the thing. Like, I don't think opening your mouth and saying something ridiculous like "I hate all black people" or "I hate all white people" or "I hate all X people" is hate speech. I think that's just you announcing to the world that you're fucking stupid. But that's pretty much it for me.
What if you say something like a specific class, they're all dumb? Like if I just say,
that's insane.
All Mexicans are lazy or something.
All Trump voters are rednecks, or all Hillary voters are rich Jews. No, it's like yo, it's like that's like for me. If you can get to that level, that's just like. It's not hate speech. You can say it all you want, but thanks for saying it around me so that I know never to talk to you again. That's
I agree with you there. See, I think the way to attack some of this stuff is if somebody says things like that, it's a social response. It is, you know what? Get the hell away from me. Stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you. You're not somebody I want to associate with. And let the society as a whole kind of cast away those kind of idiotic people. Shun them. I am all for that. I think the problem is when you. Good.
That's another problem. That's the thing. Like where my tolerance may end, I don't expect society's tolerance to end, right? Like, I don't have to tolerate everything, but I think that overall society, we need to find a way to kind of allow these people who have pissed me off to kind of exist. I don't want some asshole to have a hard life. Honestly, the reason why they were a fucking asshole is because they had a hard life to that very point, and that got them to be an asshole. I triggered a reaction in them that is built off of years and years of experiences. That's pretty much it. So they may be an asshole to me, but they're probably a really lovely person to somebody else. So if I can find a way for them to continue to enjoy their life in that regard, that's cool. Which means that they would be content enough to not kind of make anything actionable, right? But if it's you can. There's people who I know. Well, dude, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm actually going to be dropping a video about this soon, but it's I met a guy who I would consider a white nationalist. I met him, had a beer with him, all right, at a bar in Montreal, and I had poutine, and he paid for my meal, which I didn't expect. I went in there fully expecting to pay for my own, all right, and we just had a conversation about ethnicity, race, politics, all that stuff. We talked about all of that. This guy is a person who I'd have considered a white nationalist. My first engagement with this guy was calling him a fucking rat or a peasant. All right, this is on Twitter. I had a conversation with him, and that's the thing. Wow. It's like I'm willing to go ahead and do that, and it's but the thing is that I know that in having that discussion, I realized that there was so much about this guy that I actually liked. In fact, he's a hardworking dude. He's a family man. I respect that shit. That's stuff that I strive for. I was fed the American dream. I want to have a fucking house. I want to have a wife, kids, dog. That's the kind of shit that I really, really want. I want my whatever I'm doing to be able to sustain that and be able to provide for a family. That's the dream, right? So this guy's doing that. How can I not admire that about him? He's white. I did consider him a white nationalist at one point. At one point, if you would ask me if after my first engagement with him, if I wanted to talk to him, I'd have been like, fuck no, man. But in learning more about him, there's some things about him that I find to be quite lovable, in fact,
So you're not a litmus test kind of person, right? You're not one thing that sets aside.
The two of.
Sorry?
How did the two of you come together?
Well, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. This guy, I don't want to give too many details because I don't want to end up letting anyone know who it is because I know there's some people who are fucking crazy and are like, oh, I need to expose every white nationalist on the planet. I don't need to do that at all. I think it's stupid. Pretty much what ended up happening was I tweeted something out and he responded with oh, but you're here using white people inventions, and that's an argument that I fucking hate. It's I don't give a fuck what your ancestors did. You aren't your ancestors. I give a shit about what you're doing. Who are you as a person? I don't give a shit, man. If your granddaddy was some other person, it really isn't it doesn't matter. So when people come with that whole like we've done this, our cultures have done this, like why are you like listen, like that's not helping the overall argument that's occurring. It's literally just you're just pulling it back and being like you're yanking at chain, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was where we had that engagement. I was like seriously, man, I'm like I don't give a fuck. And it went on, and at one point I actually don't want to give that detail because I feel like that's gonna be very specific. So anyway, regardless, said some things that were pretty unpleasant to me, you know, that made me feel like I wasn't welcome in my own lands, and you know, that was it. But then, you know, flash forward, like what, 6 months later, sitting down at a bar with this guy, and you know, I gave him a hug, I believe. Like
That's
it's
wow.
Like,
poutine, beer, and white nationalism. Boy, I never thought those things would ever go together.
Like, look, dude, I don't like this guy. I don't want this guy not to exist. He has a fucking place in the world, and he makes a group of people happy, and that moment alone is enough. That is enough change to inspire another reaction. Like that's huge, man. The guy's like, if the guy's a good dad, he's a really good dad, you know, and he's, you know, the kid's happy. That kid is going to grow up in a happy home and then possibly goes on to do something else that's probably better or form something else. You never know. And like the fact that some people exist where they're like they hate this ideology so much. And look, I get that the ideology is abhorrent. Dude, I'm telling you, anytime I hear like someone like Richard Spencer talk, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, why is this guy even saying that? Why are people giving him airtime? Like, why are we listening to this fucking guy? Like, yeah, he can talk. Let him talk as much as he wants, but why are you listening to him? He's literally just there to divide people. Same thing with Tariq Nasheed. They're to divide people. It's like you should be listening to the people that are down to actually have conversations with people. People who are actually interested in talk. Doesn't matter what their background is. Like you can't ever really fully know someone. So it's like you should be wanting that if you're an intellectual, peak intellectual that is always asking questions, shouldn't you want to know more about someone if you have objections with them? Shouldn't you want to find something about them? Like it's like I don't know. Anyway,
I want to clone you. I think we need clones of you. We need more Bunty King, I believe.
No, like I don't want to say that. It's not like it's just literally like just be a bit more tolerant. I think it's crazy like that people want to eliminate someone's like destroy someone's life just because of their ideology. Like this dude in Montreal here was hosting like some fucking alt-right meetups, you know, and he's like one of the dudes from Stormfront. I don't even remember the guy's name. Like that's how little I care about like that level of like white nationalism. Like I don't care. Like you want to have your conversations in your fucking clubs about how fucking shit you think I am? Great. I'm fine. Happy for you. Does it bring you joy? Awesome. Like do it with your buddies. But you know, like I don't need to find you. I don't need to expose you. I don't need to cut you off from society. And that's where I think where we came to this like shunning from society thing is really a negative way of doing it.
Well, let me address that real quick.
Make them a laughing stock, but like kind of like, you know, bust their balls a bit.
Yeah, let me address that because I mean I don't advocate people going out and saying, hey, we should shun a particular person. That was not what I meant. I meant that the social system will self-regulate itself, and the people that don't want to associate with that kind of stuff won't, and the people that do, such as you know yourself, or that want to have a conversation, they can. That's what I mean by self-regulation. That's what I mean by people have the individual choice when they're engaged in these conversations or not.
Yeah.
I would never advocate go out and shun a particular person. So I did not mean that at all.
And I didn't expect. I wasn't really thinking that you'd said that, but I just think that that's like what people think of often, you know, like this,
right?
Because everyone thinks of it on like big, like it's cool that you think of it on the individual level, right? Because people act like you can't be a collectivist and you can't like think about the individual at the same time. You really can. Like
there's a harmony there. You think you can have collectivism and still maintain some individuality? Because I mean, it's a fine line. I think when I've seen when it comes to collectivism, they really don't emphasize the individual aspects a lot.
Yeah, well, it's more about like allowing a collective to exist where the individual, where like common individual rights are met. Like common individual rights are adhered to like as almost sacred, because there's like so many common individual rights that like people have, like and I honestly think that I truly believe that the American Constitution is a pretty decent example. Pretty decent. I mean, it's had amendments over the years, but it's like one of the things I truly believe is should be a common right is the ability to open your mouth. And when, in the whole topic of the right to offend, yeah, like if you think about it, the right to offend, the only reason why you're offending someone is because you're expressing yourself. And I truly believe, and in a society that values free speech, you should be able to express yourself however the fuck you want to express yourself. But
do
then
you think so no words should be off limits? Certain pejoratives that we all know that are considered to be taboo.
Off limits. Like, you want to talk about the JQ, have fun talking about the JQ, buddy. But have fun bringing people into that conversation that want to have a chill time. I can promise you, you can't have one or the other.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It's like have a club. You want to have a club where it's like fuck Bunty King and every other brown fucking guy, and yeah, sure, cool.
As long as it doesn't incite violence, I'm a very pro free speech person. Say what the fuck you want to say. You want to insult people, be my guest. As long as it's not advocating any kind of action, I really don't have much care one way or another.
Yeah.
Because again, I think society regulates that self. But there are times where certain words, even if there's not a direct call to action, seem to have an indirect call to action, and that may be where the argument will be going. If you are using all these pejoratives and people have these minds, this group of people, it's less than human, because you're saying these negative things that are making them subhuman, even though you're not calling an action to them, that could be considered hate speech in some ways. That's where the line of demarcation is argumentable, I think.
That's where I struggle.
Because you're putting it in their heads, right? And then their heads are processing it, and then that process could eventually turn to action later on.
Exactly.
I can understand that argument, but I do think that it really is about focusing on the minority, because that's the other thing. Like, we're focusing and thinking about all the bad things that could happen. We're focusing on the minority, and that's bad. Like, we shouldn't be focusing on the minority people that are going to be causing like problems. When I say minority people, I mean like literally the minority cases in which these actual incidences do occur. They happen, and of course we blow them out of proportion. We show them all over the media. We talk about it for fucking, we talk.
Yeah, I mean, look
all the time.
Yeah, we go on.
The most minor things
about it afterwards. We have specials about it afterwards. It's like we spend a lot of time focusing on the tragedies. We spend a lot of time focusing on the minorities that are quote unquote problematic, as opposed to letting people just be and realizing that overall we are selfish, yes, but we are good. Like we're good because we have to be good, because if you're not good, well then you're not going to have any access to resources. You won't.
That's what drives the narrative too, I think, is the aftermath when those instances happen. Like the fact that the news latches onto one instance and just will not let it go. And although I struggle with the examples that we were just talking about there, where it kind of goes a little further than just an opinion, you still can't regulate that, I don't think, without that slippery slope being introduced with the, if you regulate one word, or if one word's used this way, it will morph into, something else, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Well, the news is there just to people watch. I don't think the news even reports the news anymore. There haven't been an actual news organization since probably the 70s. Okay, so
Onion.
You know what? The Onion is actually cited nowadays as real news very often. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to tell the difference.
That's where I get all my news.
I love that. I love that meme. The fact that the Onion is a little bit more like. But that's why the Onion is so successful. I remember when the Onion started, I was like, all right, this could be cool, I guess. But I was also really young. But getting older and, being involved in some degree in terms of the political spectrum on YouTube and Twitter, or just social media in general, it definitely rings true now. Like, the Onion's very.
It's crazy
very
how the lines blur. It's crazy how the lines have blurred now. When it first started, it was wildly improbable that any of this would ever happen, and now when you read some of the headlines, you have to ask yourself, is this possibly true?
Well, at least the Onion, though. Everybody knows the Onion satire, but there's one out there, the World News Daily Report, and it has the word news in it, and that's also a satirical webpage. And people all the time cite things from World News Daily Report, and they don't do their due diligence to check this actual story. But the problem is that their stories actually sound legit sometimes. And as Kyle said, I've read things we both have. When we do work to find topics, we'll look at the news and there'll be some things in there, and it's like, is this real? Is this?
I have an example.
No, this is fake. Kyle and I would sit there and have an argument if it's real or not, because it's like, this can't be real.
Let me tell you one, and this one actually happened to be real. When I saw the headline for it, scrolling through Facebook, I instantly was like, no, there's no way that is a true thing. But it turned out that this was sadly a true thing. Okay, there was this lady on the news, and I forget which program she was on, but they were having a conversation on giving your child, making sure that your child gave consent before you change its diaper, and how it.
Yeah, I saw this, man. I saw this, dude. I saw it, and I was like, I'm not feeding that. I'm not. I was
what
like,
does that
I
say
could be
about society?
Oh man,
it sounds satirical, right? I mean, that literally sounds like something you would just find on The Onion.
She was giving advice about looking at the child in the eyes and making sure that you had established eye contact before you started to peel the diaper off.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing, man. Like, it almost feel like these kinds of stories get released sometimes just to kind of rein people back in, because no human in the world, even people that are like the ultimate like pro like consent advocates, they're gonna see that and be like, yo, that's whack.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's whack, point. Like, it's like kind of like just like it's just, it makes no sense. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to meet someone that's going to be like, you have to get consent from your baby. Like, I don't really think that.
It's bizarre. It's really bizarre.
It's time to go.
That's such a minority case, man. I'm telling you. It's like, it's like, no, I completely lost train of thought. I do apologize.
I got a question. Let me ask you this then. Because that is so fringe, that is so bizarre, do you think that because there's so much out there and so much competition that people do have to say very fringe-like things in order to kind of get the attention away from other things? And it seems like the more fringe you are, the dumber things you say, the more popular you get.
Yeah,
we all know some YouTubers
that
say some pretty stupid shit, and yet they're astronomically popular.
That's why some people are totally okay with being hated. Like, they're okay with being hated because they know that now the people that hate them, like, they're like a marketing tool for them. Like, if they're so hated that like they know that they're going to say something, it's going to hit all the right hooks for the people that hate them to share it around, and they'll do it. I see people like Richard Spencer do this all the time, by the way, all the time. So good. People like Tariq Nasheed do it. People like Tariq Nasheed do it. Just anybody. I mean, I mean, you can just look at the account sometimes and just see what goes on, see what the deal is there. So,
speaking of the political climate, what are your thoughts with how that's going? I'm interested to get your take on politics.
Well, I mean, look, I kind of pulled back after people lost their shit and started like doxing each other and like being fucking full blown insane. And making up lies, all that. I was like, no, this is not the community for me. But in terms of, are you talking in terms of like overall normie politics, like the stuff they're talking about CNN, or are you talking about stuff on YouTube? Like, what are we talking about here? Twitter?
We can do either, whichever one you find more interesting. I think that politics is something that we don't really cover all that much on this show based on what we do. So.
Sure. Until social media changes, until how we consume social media changes and how we react to news changes, we're always going to see inflammatory piece after inflammatory piece that is just going to get us to pretty much there to make us angry, to spread the news about how this makes you angry. Because when you're angry about something, you want to let your tribe know that there's a threat around. You want to let them know. You're like, it just keys into a threat reaction. Like a lot of the crazy stuff, if you think about it, man, like look at all the problems that come up, right? When people call people out that are problematic, the reason why they're calling them out for being problematic is because they see them as a threat. They're like, this is a threat to my existence, and therefore they notify the rest of their tribe, and then everyone starts screeching. And that's what ends up happening. So, and because they're all screeching, this, whatever was said to this threat is propagated again and again and again. And that is how we work all the time on social media. So unless we re-gear ourselves in terms of what we react to, which I was starting to get really good at doing, like certain things I would just have to address because I was like, all right, this is whoa. But for the most part, I was like, not like you have to be like, until you start like labeling people, like keeping self like notes about people and for yourself in the sense of like what kind of person they are. Like I see when I look at hate bring him up. I don't want to use Richard Spencer as an example again or Tariq Nasheed, but
We'll go ahead.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a perfect example. Okay, I know exactly. Like, I know what his game is. I know what he's doing on Twitter. So
you think he's just pretending to be that inept and that incompetent?
I don't think he's. First of all, I do not think for 1 second that man is incompetent.
As president, really?
Well, the fact of the matter is, dude, he became the leader of a country. I don't think you can be that. I don't think incompetency is rewarded in terms of becoming the leader of a country. You can be the shittiest leader of a country, but the fact that you got to that leadership role means that you worked some angles to get there. And like, that is something that I value. That's something that I see.
But when we're talking about competency to run something, he's competent to run a campaign. He's competent to win the campaign. He did. Yeah. But does that translate to he's competent to run the country via things like foreign policy by Twitter?
That's okay. It's possible we can argue about that, but I think that it's, we also put too much stock in what people are thinking in terms of like outrage, right? Like, it's not like the stuff that he's saying on Twitter is just stuff that's being said on Twitter. That's just the stuff that we see. It's so loud and so crazy that it completely blinds us to everything else that could be possibly going on behind the scenes. When people see Trump's Twitter account, they think that's all he's doing or that's all he's talking about. Dude, the guy, what was it, 10 U.S. prisoners from North Korea? Didn't he negotiate that? Was it 10? Well, how many was it? There were some prisoners that were released from a place that wasn't releasing them because he negotiated it. Did the whole thing in China? Was it in China as well for LeVar Ball's kid and his dumb friends or something like that? I don't know the full story, but like, I think it was
the kids that just got released from North Korea.
Yeah, so he did that. Like, these are things that he's doing. These are things that he's actually actively doing. But like, and I know sometimes like he'll come and say things about it, but the reality is that he's being extra loud because he knows that everybody is just glued to their phones. Nobody is really out and about in life, really engaging people like they used to back in the 90s before cell phones were like a really, really normal thing. And keeps them busy, keeps them preoccupied. So I know how that like works, that world is, and I know how to flex it, how to use it, how to use like what people want from you to kind of give them more of what they want. And that's exactly what he's doing. That's
showmanship more than anything else, though. I mean, he knows how to play to an audience. I mean, he knows how to do that.
The world is
he's an entertainer.
Man. The world's a fucking stage, dude. That's like one of the like the best things I've heard in my life. By the way, the world's a stage, and everyone's like playing some role. It's really it, man. There's some people who just want to like rise to the top and will make as much noise as possible. And when you have a lot of people saying crazy shit on one side, you're gonna have other people say crazy shit on the other side. And then the people who actually have voices, the people who are present in your live chat right now, the people who are working their normal 9-to-5 jobs, they're the people they're the normal ones that are just like going about doing their thing, and that's it.
Do you think he's dangerous for the office in the future, based on what's been happening?
What do you mean?
My point is that up until now, you didn't have this kind of soap opera that centered around the White House. The news would get stories that would trickle in at a certain pace about the president, but it wasn't like a 24/7 waiting for the that next story to drop, which it seems to be now. So when he's out, whether it be at the end of this term or he gets another term, what is next? Because you can't top that. So where does that kind of extra attention go from there? Because right now it's 24/7. What's Trump doing at this very moment?
Well, the presidential game has been changed forever. The leadership game has been changed forever, and you can see this in terms of how other countries are also managing their public image. Okay, if you think about it, right? Trump, everything that he's doing is full PR. He's 100% PR. Every politician now is in full PR mode, and social media has pretty much just, once again, I'm repeating myself, but changed the game forever, right? You see someone like Trudeau go to India and wear outfit after outfit after outfit, excessively, more so than any other normal Indian would. because he knows that the media is going to cover it. He knows that the media is, and he wants everyone to see him as this super diverse, super tolerant, accepting of all the cultures, loves all the cultures kind of guy. That's pretty much his thing, his shtick. So he goes and he does that, and he's playing a PR game. And and I feel like this has been something that like was a lot harder to do before social media. 100%, like really, 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 way too hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you think where we're at is because of social media, or do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God,
because I definitely think that we're there because of so many different forms of social media. We have been cultivated in a social media type environment.
The thing is that like I think that Trump didn't win by a crazy amount. Okay, he won by almost nothing. Right.
Right.
The reality is though is that he went about it in a very strategic way. One thing that he knows that people values is that people value being acknowledged. People value engagement. They value like being appreciated or being noticed in a way. So he just acknowledged, right?
Well,
so I just pretty much said the same thing 4 times.
Let's be realistic. Do you think he would have won if it wasn't for Hillary? Because I mean, a lot of the people that voted for Trump are anti-Hillary, and I'm not a fan of Hillary. But do you think if it was Bernie or if it was a decent candidate, do you think Trump would have actually won?
Oh, Bernie.
I think that Trump,
Bernie got a bad rap. Come on.
I think that Trump would have won because Trump won the flyover states, man. That's what it is.
I can't see that at all.
He went to these flyover states, man. He went there, and that's the thing. He had boots on the ground, man. He
and a great campaign. I mean, Florida and a few other swing states that he got. Sure,
that is everything. Running a campaign is everything, and now social media is part of that campaign, and that's the thing, right? So not only did Hillary have the best campaign in terms like not only did Hillary not have the best campaign in terms of like what she did in terms of getting people to her fucking things or and all that stuff, like her rallies. But she also was really cringy in terms of, she was using mainstream media and she was just being cringy on social media.
Bad at it. She was bad at using PR, and I will agree Trump was better at it.
Should have been Bernie. Bernie had a good message too.
Yeah, I think Bernie would have trounced him in the generals. There's no possible way I think Trump would have won.
Maybe I don't know. It's like hard to tell because like I guess I'm an optimist, right? I really do believe people are good, but at the same time I'm also a bit pessimistic in terms of how social media and just our media consummation habits kind of lend to what we do in life. I think that because the media like targets specific like our baser instincts, we don't really have. I feel like Trump would have won anyway.
Well, who have you would have picked? If you would have had any option, whether people that ran or didn't run, who would have you have said, you know what, I want them to be president?
I'll tell you what. I look back on why am I forgetting his name? Oh my God, I actually really like this guy, and I feel so bad. 2012 presidential candidate for Republicans.
Romney.
Yeah, Mitt Romney, man. I remember when I started.
I agree.
He seemed like a gentleman. Like now I look back on some of the things he says. I was looking at his Twitter. I'm like, this guy's a fucking gentleman. Like this guy's like a straight up cool dude. I remember when I was in 2012, I was talking about how I was like, you know the term libtard, right? I was a libtard. Oh, yeah. I must have been libtard because I was talking about how this guy's gonna bring back slavery. It was insane. So
I still am, and I would vote for I would vote for Romney in a heartbeat now. Like if given the option.
Is this a lesser two evil thing with you though, Kyle?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I get that. I really do.
I would have voted. Honestly, I would have probably voted like if I could have had the ultimate matchup this election, it would have been like, definitely Romney. If Romney could have run, that would have been like, did Romney run? Did Romney actually try?
No, not.
No.
No, he didn't. So that's it. Yeah. So I mean, I started catching up. I started like really tuning into politics once I saw that Trump got elected because I was like, whoa, what the fuck happened? Because I did not.
Yeah, that came out of left field.
Yeah, that was.
I don't think he expected to win initially. I think he ran just for a little bit of a sensationalism, and then they're like, oh, you might have a chance, and he's like, oh shit, what am I going to do if I win?
Well, that's the thing, right? It was like I think that people talk about their quote unquote red pill moment. I would have to say that like my ultimate like red pill moment was seeing Trump win the election and being like, something fucking happened that I didn't see, that the media didn't see, that the rest of my friends didn't see. something happened.
Oh, there were people saying, "Hey, Trump is going to win," and we were watching it live, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I think Trump has a pretty good shot." And you know how many people are just like, "Oh, there's absolutely no way Trump will win," 100%. And these are the same people that are thinking, "Oh, Bush would never get reelected." Those kind of things. It's like you guys are not looking at the bigger picture, because I was looking at the numbers as they're coming in, and when Florida that went. He was done. I was like, you know what, Trump has this probably, and they're like, oh, that's a stupid Steve. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, man. Like, I had a conversation at a bar with someone earlier that year. Okay, the guy pretty much told me exactly how Trump was going to win, and I don't know if he was watching the same. I don't know if he was watching what's his name? I'm forgetting his name, but dude who made the Dilbert comics, the guy.
Oh man.
Oh my God, he's great.
If you hadn't asked me that, I've been able to tell you.
He's so good.
This is why we have a live chat. They do our research for us.
That guy,
I know you're thinking of too, but
that guy pretty much predicted the election. He predicted it, and it was amazing. And it's awesome.
I remember that. Yeah,
and so this guy, I don't know if this guy that I met at the bar from someone from college. This guy used to be a communist, by the way. When I met him in college, he was a communist. All right, and now I'm talking to him like 8 years later, and he's now like a regular capitalist guy that told me that Trump is going to win, and that he was like, just the way it is, and it's good. And this is like, you went from commie to like, Trump is going to win.
Well, do you think he's going to? Well, how about this?
That was like, that's another reason why I'm like,
let's get the predictions out there now. Is he going to be reelected? Do you think he's going to be a one-term president or two?
Oh, one term.
Unless someone comes up with more bravado, all right, and is just capable of like winning a crowd over like Trump can, good luck. If all the Democrats have to offer is some other like washed up human being, like, no, they're not going to.
I remember going into the election before he was actually sworn in. It was DPR Jones and Aaron Ra and a few other people were having a conversation, and we were all talking about what's the likelihood of him making it in a year without being impeached. And this was something that was like literally had odds on it. If you went to Vegas, you could actually bet money on what was the odds of him being impeached within the first year. It was like 6 months, a year, making it 4 years. I was like, there's a possibility of being impeached, but I thought it was a very, very low probability, because to impeach somebody, well, one thing, to get impeached is easy. Actually, it's not that difficult. That means you just get charges. But to be moved from office is a whole different ballgame. It's very, very, unlikely that that's the case. And then I was thinking to myself, if he did get removed, what would be the benefit? Because then we have Pence, who I think is epically worse in many regards.
I don't know. I don't think Pence is epically worse. I mean,
I disagree. I can't imagine anybody worse.
I don't think that. The thing is, like, I don't think that these guys are like any worse or better than any of them. Like, I just feel like you need to be a rat if you're in politics. Like, whatever side you're on, you're a fucking rat. And like,
this is true. Yeah, there's no objective truth in politics, right?
You can say like you have to be like, you have to have done something ratty to get to that point. You have to ultimately have to be like, fuck, I gotta bite the bullet. I gotta be a rat for a second and do it. I've done it. You all have to do it. Everybody has to do it. That's when people say they think I'm like some pure. I'm like not. No, I'm like not like the nicest guy on the planet. Like, there's things that I've had to do to pretty much just be like, I've tried.
Nobody's morally
defend myself.
Nobody thinks that if you're in politics, you're Snow White. Trust me.
If you are in the pursuit of power, if you're like involved in the active pursuit of power, whatever capacity of power that is, unless it's like a purely internal struggle where you're just trying to attain power over your life and that's it. If you want to be a leader, if you have that drive for status, you are going to at some point do something ratty, and that is just the way it is. And you will have a moment where you have to look at yourself and be like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that.
But again, it could be the lesser of two evils.
That is a very true statement. But listen, let me stop this real quick just to say this, just so we can kind of keep on track. I've got 4 things that I want to hit, that I want to make sure that we hit in terms of the censorship thing. So I think that now would probably be a good time to kind of move into that, because I want to get into the politics of YouTube and how YouTube and Twitter have been kind of censoring certain people for things that, are minuscule and not a big deal. But I want to start with what your thoughts on the Logan Paul situation and the PewDiePie situations were. Like, with those two situations, how do you feel it was handled, and did YouTube do the right thing in the way that they kind of handled those two things?
What happened? What went down?
with PewDiePie?
Yeah, like what went down? Like what happened? Like I have been so disconnected from everything, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
super disconnected.
With you don't know what happened with Logan Paul either?
No, not at all, man. Not at all. Like I've really been so disconnected. I've just been trying to like, trying to get some stuff going on over here, like in terms of because I'm at the studio now, like I'm trying to make it lucrative. So just been super involved in my own stuff. But what happened?
Okay. Well, with Logan Paul, what he did, he went to the suicide forest over in Japan.
Okay. So this is old. Okay, all right. I thought there's something new.
Yeah.
Is this anything in within
No.
the last?
No. I'm going back to the old stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God, that's why you must have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Even if
This has been nothing new.
Even if you were trying to stay disconnected, that would be really disconnected. But I just want to go back to my ultimate point is going to be: are they handling these, situations the way that they should, or is there a better way they could have been managed? So
I know people who believe that PewDiePie legit fucked them over. These aren't just like small YouTubers. These are like people who are like, my channel isn't monetized anymore because this guy decided to make some dumb jokes and didn't do it properly, and that's it. These are like, I know that that's the thing. And I know that he's got that feedback as well because he's obviously memed on it before. But I mean, I don't necessarily believe that it's his fault. I mean, he was just expressing himself. Nothing that I saw produced was actually a problem. And how YouTube reacted with him is disgusting, in my opinion, because he pretty much fed into this insane, absolutely insane fucking narrative that empowered the wrong people when it didn't need to. And of course, because these advertisers and because marketers in general are generally looking for like the easiest in to push their product or to save the company money in regards to promoting the product. A lot of these advertisers started leveraging the news that was coming up, like these people like the Wall Street Journal and all that stuff. Who was it that did a piece on regardless, pretty much like they're using these incidents as just an opportunity to kind of get a lower ad buy. And I feel like that's something else that's happening. And I think that it's just like YouTube acknowledged the wrong thing, and then they kind of like had to bend over and take in the ass from the advertisers because it's not a profitable platform. It's not profitable at all by a long shot, but it's one of those platforms that if it went away tomorrow, people would be like, well, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna have the internet? Who's gonna have these videos? Who's hosting these videos? So,
that's
but and I guess out of this fear of irrelevancy or out of this fear of being like shut down or being like not able to sustain themselves, they just just gave it all away. And I think that's really shitty. So I don't think it's PewDiePie's fault. I'm not sure if I'm touching up on the thing that you guys want me to touch on because I know that he said nigger at one point, right? So
you are. No, you're hitting it.
Okay, I'm hitting it. All right. So I do apologize. I ramble a lot, and I really do. I'm sorry about that. Like I just talk.
I do the same thing.
I guess this is one thing. I'm like, oh, and I said that. Oh yeah, and this happens. Oh yeah. So yeah. I just feel like it was just an overall work. And the Wall Street Journal is a publication for rats. I do not ever want to read the Wall Street Journal again because they're just shit. All right, the people that were rejoicing the fact that he had lost something or that YouTubers in general were losing things is just disgusting to me. It's like, yo, like you just affected the livelihoods of people who really do not have a skin in your fucking garbage identity politics game, and you took something clearly out of context, so much so out of context that some of my friends IRL were like, yo, is PewDiePie guy a Nazi? I'm like, are you fucking serious? I'm like, no, he's not a fucking Nazi. This guy's not a Nazi at all. Are you kidding me? Like, what world are you in right now? Do you know how many crazy racist jokes we've made together? Like, that's an insane thing. Like, I was seeing people who I'd made racist jokes with, and they're like, oh, like, what are you doing? I'm like, why are you reacting to this way? Like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's like, it's all a joke. It's clearly a joke. It's so obvious.
They had to sensationalize it. That's all.
It was overly sensationalized. And first of all, this also showed how powerful the media was to me. I was like, I already knew the media was powerful, but man, is it fucking powerful. If it's powerful enough to literally just shave billions, like this one article on PewDiePie shaved billions off of a fucking company, man. It's insane.
It's a lot of power.
It's just and it was like a snowball effect, man. And it's still you feel there's the aftershock of it again and again and again. It's insane. It comes up all the time. And then of course the Logan Paul thing. I mean, Logan Paul is just an idiot, right? He's just a over the top guy. But I am blown away by how he's been able to swing his PR around. So good.
Oh
good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did he leave YouTube?
I'm like, I want Logan Paul PR level. That's what I want.
I thought he gave up his channels.
Dude, that guy gained subs.
Yeah, he went up.
No, Logan Paul. I thought I just saw the news that he decided that he's done with YouTube or something.
He took a week off in between, but he came back stronger than ever.
No, this is like really the last couple of days. I thought I saw a news article on that.
Ever done with YouTube? You're never ever going to be done with YouTube. No one's anyone that says they're done with YouTube are obviously saying it, and I believe it when they're saying it, and I'm sure they believe it too. But I know that feeling when I say I'm done with YouTube, because there was a point like this winter that passed where I just wanted to quit, especially when all the political shit was going down, and I was like, I absolutely hate a lot of these people because they're so aggressive and annoying and being really, really shitty. I just want to leave. But then obviously, thankfully, I had the people who were supportive and the people who are friends who I could like go to and be like, what the hell's happening? And they're like, yeah, we get it. So that was a major save there. But even while I was saying that I was done with that, I knew that there was a big part of me that didn't want to ever leave YouTube. Like, I may end up doing other stuff, but I don't view YouTube as a stepping stone anymore. I used to view YouTube as a stepping stone. I don't view that at all. I view it as a place that I'm gonna have to keep in my life at all times. Like, it needs to be there.
It is the stone.
So you don't place much stock in the people saying, "Oh, well, we're going to go to these other platforms." There's not much viability there. I mean, look what happened to VidMe. A lot of people are like, "Oh, fuck YouTube, let's go to VidMe," and VidMe's no more.
Well, no. Like, look, YouTube, it's been in movies. No one's like, "Oh yeah, VidMe in a movie." Like, like when you like see it, like people like characters in fictional fucking movies about like random shit. They talk about YouTube. Like, YouTube is in a fictional universe. YouTube exists. How insane is that?
Point.
And it's like that is the level of like, that's how embedded YouTube is in our social consciousness. That we're creating fiction with YouTube in fiction. Like, what?
YouTube, Google, Facebook. Yeah, they're in everything.
It's like why, like, if you're in like some kind of like dude, I'm telling you, man, it's nuts, bro. It's really nuts. It's like YouTube is not going anywhere. Never going to go anywhere. It's always going to be a platform that exists, and people are going to have to learn what, in terms of the whole monetization aspect. How many people do you have watching right now?
118.
118. That's amazing. Okay, so you have 118 people watching. Okay, eventually you're going to have 300 people watching, and then after that you're going to have like 500 people watching, and it's going to go up and up and up, and eventually you're going to be able to leverage the people that are watching for sponsorships. And I know that sounds kind of scummy, and it's like inside baseball once again. That's like it's not about thinking about them as numbers, but it's about thinking about what kind of sponsor you can bring that's going to be of value to them.
Yeah.
Like, what you think is they're really going to give a shit about. Oh, do people want this? Like, yeah, people would want this. So you'll be able to do that, and you'll be able to find that, especially if you're able to connect with your community in a really like good manner. But that's going to be the future, by the way, for making money on social media, making money off of YouTube videos. It's not going to be through like some system that just kind of like throws you a bone every time. I mean, it will exist, but it's not going to be how people make the big bucks.
Right.
Main source.
Yeah, and I got to say that I'm thrilled when we have even 100 people, but we've had up to almost 1,000, and that was when we only had like 3,000 subscribers. We had literally like a third of our base watching at the time. I mean, we have one of the best audiences I've ever seen. I mean, these people are just incredible.
Do you
who you are?
Do you like? Sorry, I'm confused, man. I do apologize. Do you like? Do you know who you interviewed? Like, who were you interviewing before to get you up to 1,000 people?
We had a debate between Kent Hovind and Aaron Ra, and then Aaron Ra and Jaronism, that's what we usually do. We focus mainly on debates and discussions. That's kind of our main go-to. And anytime you have two contentious people that want to go at each other, it's a heyday. So
yeah, see that. Yep.
But what about I want to speak to the Twitter and the shadow banning stuff, because I know people personally, like Rags is a good friend of ours, taken off Twitter for a reason he still to this day doesn't know. I mean, just one day taken off, and he thinks it has something to do with the fact that he leans to the towards the alt-right. But what is that I want to say a thing we should be doing, but how can they set that precedent and still maintain a platform that advocates an open and honest dialogue?
Yeah, well, Twitter doesn't advocate open, honest dialogue. Let's be real here. I've been banned off the platform a bunch of times.
Theoretically.
Yeah, and so, I mean, like last time I got banned, it was for a fucking meme and it was for targeted abuse, even though I don't know who the fuck I was targeting. Like, you couldn't even tell me I was targeting my audience because I knew that they would find it funny. That was who I was targeting, right? I wasn't targeting.
Twitter has no idea what they're doing right now.
They really don't. They really don't have any idea. The automated system is all fucked.
Sucks.
You can abuse the shit out of it. If someone has it out for you, they can flag you to oblivion, and that's it. You're over. Your platform's gone. I lost half of my internet reach because of that, and now I'm rebuilding, and I'm having fun rebuilding because it's fun. Instagram, I like doing social media. It's a lot of fun, and Instagram offers me opportunity to kind of do more lifestyle, and because I've always been a lifestyle kind of guy, like it really is one that I kind of fit in. For when I rolled in on Twitter, I was bringing lifestyle to Twitter in a way, and people did not like that at all. Like having a Twitter video of me in their face laughing and like being in places that are kind of like cool or like just hanging out. They don't like that. It's like well, obviously they like that. I mean, but the critics really didn't like that. It's like it doesn't mesh well with the platform,
Twitter's vicious. Twitter's vicious.
It is really.
It's not quite Reddit
vicious.
level. It's not quite
It is honestly one of the most vicious platforms because of the fact that it's super anonymous and because it is politically geared, right? Whereas Instagram, lifestyle geared. You're not going to have a political debate on Instagram. It's going to be all about fashion. It's going to be about maybe like film stuff. It's going to be visual, all right? Facebook, families. So Facebook is like family, community, that kind of stuff. So there's like if you think of the 3 social media networks that are like that are there right now that are really huge, that's the divide, right? You're not going to go. You can't talk about politics on Facebook. But once again, it's going to be insular. It's going to be really pretty much within the family. You're not going to be having crazy huge conversations with people on recurring posts over different places. Like I'm not going to see like a John Hampstead in a comment on whatever, like some one page and then another page. Whereas I'll see another person like on Twitter for sure rise to the top in an ongoing dialogue part of the conversation. So Twitter is amazing in terms of like this, in terms of being able to propagate a conversation, but it is so bad in terms of laying down the ground rules so that it is even across the playing field. Because right now, they definitely do fuck more right-leaning people. It is so obvious. Yes. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's part of it. I look at it and I'm like, well, it's because I'm seeing some of the shit that comes out. Like when I would engage alt-righters, man, I'd see some of the things that people would send my way. Like once and this was in September, there was this one fucking guy, I don't know, Pollock Defender, Pollock something crazy. All right, the guy's profile picture was him with like a mask. I don't know if it was a Poe or if it was like a real dude. I have no idea. And he had like a gun in his profile picture, and he was like, I want to fucking shoot this guy, square between right between the eyes. And I remember seeing that, and that was like because I was talking about race mixing, and that happened. And then of course, when I engaged Richard Spencer back in like May, he had a bunch of people telling me all sorts of really crazy shit, and it was like, I see what the right is like. I see like what the far right is like, and I know how unappealing that is to a lot of people. Normal people like are more okay with like communist ideas than they are with far right fascist ideas. You know what I mean? Even though you can have the argument that communism and fascism are like very similar, right?
Sure.
You can totally talk that, and I'm open to hearing that, and I kind of agree. If you look at like places like China, and obviously you look at Soviet Russia, you'll see like obviously there's problems that were very similar to fascist regimes, and yeah. So I mean, like, what the fuck was I saying? What the fuck was I saying?
To that point, though, while you're thinking, I would say that's an interesting point, but I think that one is demonstrably worse than the other. in my opinion.
I think, because communism, at least communism, as this idea that everyone is provided for. At the very least, everyone is provided for. That's what I think.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't. I think I look at like, man, I hear some of the things that come out once again from that fucking right side, and it trips me out when I hear it. I'm like, and I don't generally feel unsafe. I'm very secure with where I'm at in life. Okay, like the community I've built around me, the people I have around me, I know I'm taken care of. So like my tribe is solid, right? But I hear some of the things that they say, man, and I feel unsafe sometimes when I hear it. And that's the whole like safe space. Oh my God, triggered. Oh my God, like, oh, is this hate speech thing? That's where the reaction, because I can feel unsafe and I can retreat and be like, I'm not gonna talk to these people anymore.
Right.
Other people feel unsafe and they're like, I need to like talk about this right now. I need to go on the offensive. You know?
Yeah.
That's what ends up happening.
Some that should.
Yeah, go on.
What do you feel about Charlottesville? Speaking of the alt-right, what was your view on that?
At the time when that came out, like, I'll tell you how I was feeling. I don't think that people should be taking down this statue. All right. First of all, it doesn't need to. Honestly, like, by my logic, people could be like, well, by your logic, it doesn't matter if the statue exists or exists, or it doesn't exist or exist, you know. But I really believe that like you shouldn't be like putting so much stock in the statue and being like, we need to take this down because it represents this period of history that we'd like to forget. Like, you should embrace that period of history. This is what you erected when you guys were being assholes, if that's what you want to look at it, right? Like, you can value it in that way and be like, just like the same way I value like a memory where I did something stupid and I can bring it up and laugh about it later, you know?
That's an interesting point.
Going about like this whole thing the wrong way to begin with, all right? And then, the alt-right show up and they're there with their same old rhetoric that they hate us, they want us gone, that kind of thing. And then you have the Antifa people showing up. And I'm kind of doing a little bit of a really shitty play-by-play of what happened, but essentially, like, they clash, and then you have unhinged people on either side that show up, and one of them happened to be a little bit more unhinged that day, and he ran a fucking car through a bunch of people, which is fucking crazy. And I wanted to speak to you need to understand is that these ideologies, these like far extreme ideologies, will like attract people in extreme situations, whether that be an extreme situation in which like they're having an extreme identity crisis, or like just extreme in the sense that they want to fucking kill somebody, Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of speak to the instance where they were coming down, kind of that quad way from the college with the torches. Do you think that crosses a barrier, or is that something that should be kind of covered under that?
I'm just gonna be real honest here. Like, I was very rude. I just literally opened up my phone while you were talking because I wanted to text someone to let them know not to leave somewhere because I just thought of it.
You're good, man. Look, when we say we were
I'm so offended. Oh my goodness.
I've been doing that. I've done that frequently all night too tonight. That's no big deal. Whatever.
Look, you can ignore
Everybody's got multiple things going on. This is
everything I say, you can just go over your head. I really don't put too much stock in my words, so you're fine. It's okay.
There's something to be said if he asked, when they're walking through the quad and they're walking with the tiki torches, it's like that. Does that cross some kind of line? Because that you're not directly inciting, but should they be allowed to do that? I personally believe that's freedom of speech.
100%.
And I'm okay with it. If they even want to dress up in white Nazi, regalia. Hey, you know what? I honestly think that they should have the right to do that. But again, I think the society has a right to push back on that and let them say, hey, you guys are a bunch of fuckers, and treat them like friars. And I agree with you, but I diverge a little bit. I think that those people are scum, and I'm happy to treat them like shit. But I understand your thing that you do want to find the best in people. I get that. It's an admirable trait. I don't have it. But, I think that those people have a right to do it. But we have a right to say, you know what? You're fucking scum.
You can say it. Say it all you want, man. You can say it. You can think. You know how many times I can think of like knocking out Richard Spencer or like drop kicking him or like doing something. I can think about it. I can picture it happening right now in my studio. I can picture it happening right now. But the reality is that I do not ever want to do that because I know that that is just a bad thing to do. And it's like, cool. Like that's the thing. Like I'm down to say like you're an asshole, you're a rat or stuff like that. And I'm even trying to pull back from that because I just feel like it's not really going anywhere. But like I do think it, but I'm not going to. And I think that other people should have the right to express it, you know? And when it comes to action, that's when don't plow a car through people. Don't
that's insanity.
Hit your head with a bike lock because you think that they're a fucking Nazi. Like, what are you doing? Stop that. That's not how like that's not how I want. Like my producer was talking to me and he was like oh I was just telling him about like who was he talking about? It was someone talking about Putin. I think it's Putin. He was like, man, I'm telling you like I would just want to beat the shit out of him. And I'm like, all right, dude, that's really cool and everything, but like, you know that if you beat the shit out of someone, generally speaking, you're providing them way more power than they need to have because everyone can spin it into a power thing. Victims have so much power. The right victim has the most power, and it's insane, right? So when I saw Richard Spencer get punched a couple of years ago, I was like, this is stupid. Why?
But don't you think a lot of these are just expressions of frustration? Like I would never advocate anybody to go violent and punch anybody. That's not me. Now I will admit there's a slight satisfaction seeing somebody like Richard Spencer get punched. I'm human, okay? So there's that part of me that goes, yeah, you know what? I'm satisfied with this, but it's still not the right act.
That's agree there.
I mean, look, I don't
think anybody should get punched.
Obviously, you're gonna be satisfied. I mean, like, dude. You just saw an unpleasant dude get punched in the face. I mean, if you really remove yourself from the situation entirely, I guess it is kind of fucking funny. But I mean, look, if you look at it from like a part, like you're not even part of it, like yeah. But if you feel like when I see that, I see first of all it was a white guy punching another white guy, and I just see and like this is where people like start talking about white allies, and they're like, oh, white like you know like you have to be an ally. Well, that guy was being a shit ally because at the end of the day, if his goal was to kind of empower brown people, what he was doing is like going against everything that I'm trying to work towards, where I'm walking around in a crowd of people holding a hand out being like, yo, I understand that you have some problems with people who are from my race. I can assure you that there's something that we can connect on. So would you like to have a conversation about it and then grow from there? And that's what I'm trying to offer to everyone. And I feel like every time someone gets punched in the fucking face, and anytime it kind of puts more of a wedge in it just throws a wrench into my plans. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? When I see people, when I was on Twitter, there's this fucking guy, all right? Dusty Smith. You guys know who he is? Cult of Dusty?
Yeah, we know. Well,
this guy, this fucking guy, man, is like the most tone deaf fucking guy I've ever seen in my life on social media. I'm blown away by like how insane he was about you. Just like everything that I was trying to do was I was trying to have I'm trying to like hold a hand out so I can understand more. I can understand more for myself, and then I could kind of figure things out and provide solutions. And I'm trying to talk to these, and that involves talking to people that other people don't like. But you don't have to talk to that person. You don't need to talk to them. I'll talk to them for you. But you're throwing a wrench into that plan. Like every time anytime anyone screeched at me about like talking to a specific kind of person that they considered a fascist or platforming them, it's so annoying because I was like, yo, I'm trying to fucking talk to them. You don't need to talk to them. Let me talk to them. Stop trying to run my own platform for me. And it was just like, that was so frustrating. It was like a crazy thing. And I find that there's so many white allies that end up doing stuff like that, where they're like, there's a brown person that's trying to figure shit out for themselves, or a person of color, however they want to fucking call it. And and they're just trying to fuck things up. Like, why are you doing it? Let me do it.
I think you've got the right game plan. I think because I think you do.
It's
you
not
probably
even,
do
by the way,
better.
It's not even a game plan anymore. Like I refuse to talk to anyone in the fringes. I don't want to. Like unless you approach me and you're like, hey Bunty, heard about all this stuff. Like I would love to have a conversation with you. Then I'm open. But I'm not going to go out of my way to reach out to them. Fuck that. Fuck the fringe. Yeah, they're insane.
But speaking I'm like with you meeting the guy in the bar, I think you do better and you break down that wall more by doing stuff like that than you do hitting them head on and those kind of confrontations. You know what I mean? Like having the beer in that bar probably brought his guard down a little bit.
Well, no, his guard was down. We didn't actually finish this, but his guard was down well after that because I chewed him out and I muted him, and then I was thinking about I ended up talking to some friends about struggles and like how everyone's kind of going through something, and like perceptions, and like how I may perceive something is not exactly how you may perceive something. Like I'm okay with using cuss words, whereas someone else may not be because of X, Y, and Z. And then I was like, fuck, man, like I call that guy like I call that guy a peasant, and like, and who am I? I'm like, I don't know who he is. Like I'm not some fucking super rich dude. Like, and so I DM'd him and I said, by the way, I just want to say I'm sorry for quote tweeting you and coming down on you that way. And then he apologized too. He was like, I'm sorry for like, saying the things that I did. And so from that point onwards, I mean, he'd always been paying attention. Like even after I treated him, he was paying attention because there's obviously something about me that he liked. He was already at the point that I'm at now, where he was able to kind of say something, but like still kind of appreciate me, while disagreeing with me. And so then I got to that point eventually, and then so it was chill for a while. And he had been asking whether I would be down to meet him, for a while before that. So it was always a yes, because I'm generally cool with anyone. Like if you're down to meet me and you say you're cool and you want to have a good time, we'll chill. It's obviously sometimes harder to pin me down during specific events, but like I'm down.
If there's beer involved, let's hang out.
I mean, exactly, man. If there's beer involved, good fucking American burger, dude. I was at Kilroy and I connected with this one dude. Oh my god, I feel like a shit guy. I forgot his fucking name. I'll remember it. And when I'm done the show for sure. But this guy, we talked about like him in Arizona, his experience in the army, guns he owned, all that stuff. Like it's just cool to fucking talk to people, man. It really is. It's amazing because you have people with their experiences and you get to understand how like you begin to see the commonality in people. If you talk to as many people as you can, you start to pick up on common traits, and that's really important. I think really, really important in terms of being someone that's going to talk about social, political issues.
Speaking of that, I have one last question for you. When in terms of, I think something that every YouTuber will have to deal with at some point or has dealt with would be flagging and
Be what?
The flagging and the false flagging thing. Where do you come down? Yeah,
misinformation, mischaracterization, all that stuff. They're all gonna deal with that.
Where do you kind of come down on that with, let's say, because there are certain examples where that has maybe been a thing that was needed. So
if you false flag, you're an asshole. That's at the end of the day.
I mean, not false flagging. I'm just saying, like, if there are things that I'm trying to ask this question so that we can get to a point where if somebody says something that or hears something that makes them uncomfortable, like an opinion that's not like their own, they don't have that knee-jerk reaction to flag it because it's a different opinion. You know what I mean? Like with us, we deal a lot with religion and those kind of things. So there's always that chance that you might have some.
Yo, man, I gotta say, just on the topic of religion, real quick, just the sure. Anti-theist crowd, man. I did not even know like they were a thing on YouTube, and they like showed up on my doorstep barking at me because I said something.
We are a thing.
Man, I was blown away.
What did they say?
Like, I'm curious. You guys really hate religion to the point where you like hated me for a second while I said something? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What did you say?
Yeah, what'd you say? And which group was it? Because I mean, you can't just lump all anti-theists. We know a lot of anti-theists.
No. It wasn't like I was just they were there. I don't want to give the guy any more credit than he deserves. So I don't want to actually mention him by name. Just a video was made about me where I was talking about how I think that people should, at the very least, kind of take a look back at religion to find some sense of morality if they're really having an issue finding morality, because it's an easy in. And I wasn't really kind of as eloquent in explaining that. And I made it seem like I was like, we all need to return to religion, which I don't believe at all. That's insane. But I know that because I had a Sikh and Christian upbringing, a lot of my morality is based in the values that were taught to me, and like a big chunk of that for me, one of the most crucial parts of my life was spent studying the work, studying the story of Jesus Christ, right? So I like read the Bible from cover to cover in high school because that's what I had to do. Every student had to do that. We had moral religious education class twice a week, and like studied Jesus. And so Jesus and his teachings and the teachings of the Bible are a lot of what laid the groundwork for my morality. And of course, as I went into life and I outside of school and got to college and university and started talking to people on the internet, I started supplementing bits and pieces of stuff that I'd learned in terms of morality into whatever my existing morality was and things, and just built from there. So I used it as a foundation, right? And I was like, oh, okay, if someone really is having a moral crisis, it offers a good possible moral foundation. It's a possibility. And people lost their fucking shit, man. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? That's
a big point of contention. I mean, we just had
I wasn't saying it was the only one. That's the thing. I may not have said I may not have not said it's the only one, but I wasn't definitely thinking it's the only one. I was just anytime I talk about things from personal experience, and I tell people things that work in terms of what works for me. And I'll never tell someone something that doesn't work for me. So that's just it. So if it hasn't worked out for you, if religion hasn't worked out for you, okay, that's great. If something else has worked out for you, I'd really like to know what it was so that I can kind of bring that to the table as well, or at least see how that weighs out in comparison to my own experiences.
Yeah, you probably had them come after you because there's a very big point of contention within these communities where it's atheist versus theist. One of probably the biggest, I would say, Steve, wouldn't you? The biggest argument is always over the morality argument.
Yeah, it's also the one most confusing to people. I think morality arguments are butchered to no end by both sides constantly. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is a big morality. Whenever people bring into the God discussion, for some reason, morality always comes up, and I mean, I have a very poor understanding of many of the moral ethical frameworks, especially when it comes to meta-ethical positions as opposed to normative ethics. But
they know morals.
But it's for example, I'm happy to say things like I get my morals from my mom and dad when I was growing up. I'm happy to say that. I think that's when that's a normative thing. But they're trying to make it more, or is there some kind of objective morality that's written in the fabric of the universe? And I'm like, no, I don't believe that. But I accept objective morals can exist.
Yeah.
Well, Bunty King, that was a fantastic interview.
What was the question? Though? You asked a question though. That was something that I should have answered.
I think you did. I asked about flagging.
Yes, about what?
Flagging. If you answered that.
False flag. Yeah. Just don't. I don't think people should flag. I think you should just mute and block. And generally speaking, the only time I do flag is when it's a direct threat. And that's the only time I'll flag. Direct threat, and then I'll notify my community.
Exactly. You have a right to be offended, but you're just an asshole if you go around trying to take down channels. I don't care if you agree with the channel, you don't agree with the channel, whatever. You're an asshole if you go around trying to take down.
And it's insane because people don't get it. It empowers them. It's like not even like you can think about how cool it would be to shut down someone's channel. That's great, but you have to understand that when you shut them down, you validate whatever they believe. It's not about
persecution goes off the chart, right?
So crazy. I mean, look what it did for Jesus. You got a whole religion now. You got billions of people in the world.
So the next religion is going to come from a YouTuber that was false flagged.
Flagged to the point where he was silenced completely.
He's a new messiah.
Rose again after the 90 days.
Like, who's the one that everyone doesn't want to listen to anymore? Yeah. Who
would you say?
Who would I say is that person? I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. There's plenty of people that have been silenced off of social media, right? So I can't say one or the other. I like to joke about it being me, like the religion being Buntyism or something like that, something stupid.
I could get behind Buntyism though. I'm an atheist, but I think I could switch over to Buntyism. I like the.
There's no God. There's no God. It's really.
It's something to ascribe to be able to look at somebody that you disagree with and try to find the good in them. I think that's a message that
because you're never going to meet somebody in real life. Well, you may, but you never. It's the chances of you meeting someone in real life that you absolutely have such a passionate hatred for that you want to kill them. It's so low. That's such a crazy low possibility, right? So the idea is that if you can go through life just even navigating it just by being the people that you connect with, the people that you're going to have extended connections with. So like even a person at the workplace who you don't like seeing every day, but you don't like seeing him. If you can find a way to kind of make him a little bit better in terms of like see something that he does that's good, that brings you a little bit of joy, knowing that he's doing that is actually a good thing, it makes things a lot easier for everybody and for you.
And I can tell by the positive attitude that you have that you've actually never had a conversation with a flat earther, or it wouldn't be so.
Let's make it happen.
I know I don't want to. I don't want to. Like,
You'll change your entire worldview. You'll have a different paradigm by tomorrow. Yeah. You'll be like, fuck everybody. You all suck. Fringes, I'm leaving YouTube forever.
No fringes. I'm done. Unless they come to me, fringes, I'm done. It's like the door's open. It's unlocked. But actually, no, the door's unlocked, but it's not open. Like, I'm not holding it out there and be like, hey guys, what's going on? I'm not sitting on my front lawn on the internet anymore. I'm like in my house.
Smart move.
I'm in my house. I've got a gun license. You want to come in, you can come in. Let's talk.
I think that's the way to be. Well, that's the way to be. Well, Bunty King, thank you again for coming by and talking with us. I appreciate it, and I thank you for the reference that Ian put out, that you were willing to kind of just reach out and make contact with us. That was super cool. So we appreciate that. This
is a great conversation. I'm totally down to talk to you guys again, man. You just hit me up. Don't be strangers. You can have me on
Absolutely.
Well, next time we gotta have some beer.
Very easy to find. Very easy to find. Just remind me. Like I know Kyle, right? But
nobody knows me. It's okay.
Yeah, but the other, if you just
nobody believes I exist. Well, a lot of people don't.
So. Facebook, all that stuff. Also, I don't know if you guys are in the New York area. I just want to let you guys know. Like, I'm shameless plug here. I'm actually
go ahead.
Shameless plugs are good.
Plug for Sargon. Sargon of Akkad is doing something in New York, Manhattan. He originally had to do this thing. He wanted to do this thing in Brooklyn at a cheaper venue, but they just terminated the contract. They were like, I guess they got spooked because someone fucking said something about them to this venue. And so they just dropped him, and so Sargon had to put a little bit more money to kind of get a venue at in Manhattan. And so like he's having this event there on June 3rd, and it's gonna be $125. I'm not really sure what the exact details are, and I really wish I did because I'm pitching it. But from what I feel, there's gonna be more than just Sargon over there. So
yeah, when you get the details. When you get the details, send them over to me, and I'll put them. I'll put it in the description of this video too, and we can link it up that way.
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to do that. Yeah, just and like I said, don't be strangers. Come by, talk to me anytime. I'm down to talk to you guys. You guys were very polite and cool. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Likewise. We'd love to have you back on.
Thank you to your audience too. I wasn't reading the chat, but I'm sure they were pleasant.
We have a great audience. We really do. Yeah. I'm not just placating to them. I'm not just guessing up to them. They are really fucking amazing.
No, I can't possibly imagine you having a cancerous chat. Like you probably have a really good.
We have good moderators. We get some flat earthers cancer.
The flat earthers,
they all
come out in full force.
I hope they have a nice night. I'm not going to be bothering them anytime soon. I don't want them to feel attacked.
Yeah. All right, man. And guys, we'll see you tomorrow at 8:00 for the Covenant. Awesome,
David.
Yo, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I'm actually going from this to another one now. I do apologize.
You're good.
I was on my phone.
You're just hang out whoring. It's okay.
Yeah,
no, guys. This was a great conversation. I don't even know. I feel bad because I actually can't. I'm looking into a camera right now. I don't know what you guys look like. So, but like I said, no, I can't see you guys.
We're nothing to look at.
I'll tell you something right now before I leave. We were supposed to get a fucking TV on deal. This was supposed to be like a fucking 43-inch TV, $142 or something like that, from like Radio Shack, whatever the Radio Shack equivalent is over here. It's called The Source, and or The Source. And these guys, man, they had two on the side at their store. Like this is a hot ticket item. Like people like are trying to get this. They had two on the side, and they were hiding them from us, and they didn't want to get it. These are the biggest fucking rats, man. And like we couldn't get this fucking TV. Otherwise, I would have had a TV here that would have actually shown me what you guys look like. I would have been able to see you guys.
Well, you have the link to the video, so you can peruse it and tweet it out on your own time. But you're going to be severely disappoined in what most of us look like. Yeah,
that's New York.
Don't have high expectations again.
That's New York.
I actually have the link put up on my Facebook, so I'll check it out.
Oh, Dave. They by the way, they say that we're still live.